Once you realize and you become aware of the shadow of the codependency, what you did is you then start to realize it, you become aware of it. That's step number one. I became aware of it, and here's the thing, there's a payoff that you get from being codependent. The payoff from being codependent is that you are a victim. Welcome back to another episode on the Aaron Doughty podcast. My name is Aaron, and I help people expand their consciousness. I felt like doing the anchor. I call that an anchor. So in my earlier YouTube videos, I used to always do that, or almost all my YouTube videos, I do that. My name is Aaron. I help people expand their consciousness. And I feel like doing it on the podcast. It gets me to a flow state. All right. And in this episode, I'm going to be showing you the cure to codependency, how to never be needy again. I'm going to share with you also my journey through this process, what I've learned about the inner child, how you can heal this process, how you can be in your own frame. This also is directly related as well to setting boundaries. A lot of codependents have trouble setting boundaries, and it all changes when you start doing the inner work. I was talking to a friend last night, and she was telling me about how much she was talking to me about how she was watching an older YouTube video of mine, and she noticed how much my energy has changed since that video. That video was like a year and a half ago, and it was interesting because I thought it was a certain video that I thought about taking down actually, but it was very apparent that the version I am now is completely different than the version I used to be. Now, I'm going to say something that I think is a little bit vulnerable in a way, but it's just something that I've recognized for my own life in general up until now, up until a couple months ago when I started changing my energy and I did the inner work, is I had this pattern where I would attract certain people based on, I guess, okay, I don't want this to sound mean or, this isn't like all the people that, are subscribed to me, this is the energy, but just in general, I had a couple situations that were very weird. Now, when I say this, I mean, I one time went to the gym, and this has actually happened many times where I go to a gym, somebody recognizes me from my videos, and then they just start, they thoroughly believe that they're my soulmate. They thoroughly believe they're my twin flame or something. And I talk to them, have a nice interaction, and then I go back to my workout or whatever, and then I get like DMs or I get like this crazy influx, and then I see this person again, and it's some kind of weird situation where I can tell they're like, having this like fantasy in their mind or something like that. But this one situation, I went to San Diego with a friend of mine and my friend Matt. We go to the San Diego gym. We find this gym in San Diego that's open. There's not many gyms that are open. We find this gym that's open where you're able to work out because a lot of gyms were closed at that time. And he didn't know this, but there's this like rule where if I were to geotag, I'm not saying it needs to be cocky or so you look and you're like, oh, Aaron's just trying to be cool. No, this is just the reality. So if I were to post where I'm at and geotag somewhere while I'm there, there's times people just show up. When I was in Tulum, that happened. And then eventually I'm like, okay, there's a rule. If I just want to eat dinner or if I just want to go to the gym and I don't want to have interactions and bust up the flow of what I'm doing, then I don't post where I'm at. Well, Matt didn't know this. So what Matt does is Matt posts that we're at this gym about 15 minutes after we got there. And 10 minutes later after he posted that, some person shows up. And this person shows up and comes up to me while I'm in the middle of a leg workout. I'm doing Bulgarian split squats. And she comes up and it was just this interaction where she just, I don't know. It was an interesting thing. I think she thought we were she thought I'd been talking through my Instagram stories to her or like speaking directly to her. So when she came up to me, she thought I knew who she was. I had no idea who she was. Never sent one DM message, never seen her, anything. But it was a 15-minute conversation where I was, in a way, trying to be nice and trying to say, okay, I need to work out because I could tell there was just not an understanding there, where it's like she thought that, I don't know, she expected something from me. I don't know what it was, but basically what happened was she drove 2 hours south from LA to San Diego and then waited for one of us to post where we were and then showed up. That to me was very interesting, to say the least. Now, when that happened, Matt, I told Matt, hey, dude, you never post like this again. You could post after we're there or something like that, but just so that situations like that don't happen, because we actually were, we even after she left, and I had to be very thorough and I had to have strong boundaries with this. I literally said, you got to leave. I had to say that. And the prior version of me would have never actually said that. It would have been extremely nice. Now, I don't want you to think that if you see me in public, I'm going to be a dick or anything like that. This was a very unique situation where imagine you come say hi and then you want me to give you something or to talk to you or to hang out with you and go somewhere, and I'm trying to just work out and I had plans that day. Do you see what I mean? It was expecting something from me that was beyond my ability to want to give, beyond my boundary. And I wasn't cool with it. So long story short, I realized that I've had this same scenario happen 3 to 5 times before, where somebody is convinced, and this person was convinced I was their twin flame soulmate. It's happened many times. And then I start asking myself, what am I doing? What is in my energy field that attracts in people that literally believe that this is the case, that we are some type of, twin flame or soulmate, in a way, someone that's codependent, that's dependent on me, And what I realized is that in a way, energetically, because of the energy that I was putting out, and especially because there's lots of YouTube videos of that old energy, I was attracting people that were codependent, that were depending on my energy, even if I never met them before, because there was an aspect of my consciousness that was codependent as well. That codependency, I believe, was almost a codependency that I felt towards the significance of being on YouTube and putting information out there. How vulnerable can I get? And, I like being vulnerable because I think that it helps. It's a way for me to kind of express myself, but also it's just very authentic, I think. And I think many of you that listen to me may feel that I'm very authentic when I share the stuff that I share. And it's because I'm being vulnerable. I'm sharing some parts of my life that I think a lot of other people that do what I do may not share. I'm trying to break through the shadow and the barrier just to also help you look at your own shadow, your own barrier. I think the degree to which I grow is going to be the degree to which I can help people see their own shadow and stuff like that. So being vulnerable is a powerful thing, but a part of that is that then people start to almost identify or become dependent on my vulnerable energy, or they then feel like they really, really know me. So that was a reflection of having people and realizing that there were a lot of codependent people relying on me, and some of my audience may be like that. And I'm here to say that, not all of you are like that, but if you are, it's about knowing that I am not a guru. I am not some spiritual master that has ninja level Yoda skills 5,000 that you don't have. You have all these abilities. I am somebody that's looking at my shadow, that's doing the inner work, and that in a way has just committed to this process so I can help you based on what I've been through, but not to externalize the energy and then give it to me. So in this episode, I think it's going to be very relevant to anybody that may feel somewhat of a codependency or somewhat of a neediness. I used to be very needy, not very needy, but covertly needy in relationships. And that was when my masculine energy was also depolarized. So in past relationships, I'm going to talk about the core of where this comes from. I'm going to share with you how I healed it within myself, how you can heal it within yourself. But this is about generally understanding that if you feel codependent, there's a reason you're codependent, and we're going to look at the root of that so that you can heal it. Now, what does codependent mean, or what does being needy means? Well, are you someone in relationships that when you start talking to somebody, you start thinking about them a lot? And then it becomes a game of, will they respond to you? Will they give you validation? And in a way, you're looking for some type of validation from somebody that maybe you're starting to date or you're in a relationship with, or maybe you're in a relationship and you realize that you require or need, you become very anxiously attached to your partner. And you fear that maybe that partner will leave you. So then you start changing yourself. A lot of people that may be needy are people pleasers, which means they will give up a part of themselves, what's authentic for themselves, in exchange for other people's validation, in exchange so that people don't reject them. People pleasers and nice guys, this is a huge shadow. When I look at my own life, I've realized that in a way, I have a part of myself that is a more aggressive or assertive person. That is a part of my personality and has been a part of my personality. And I think it's because I saw that my dad was such a nice guy, but he didn't always get what he wanted. He got taken advantage of by my ex-stepmom, who's a narcissist. My dad divorced her. He's still dealing with the BS with that, but he let somebody else have the frame and hold the frame for a long time. And maybe he felt safe in that frame. So he also was he still is this day, a very, very nice guy. Now, the shadow of that is a nice guy isn't necessarily authentic. A nice guy is willing and just wants to, in a way, not cause tension in people, not be blunt, and wants the validation, the approval, and the nicing, wants to do the right thing in their eyes. Now, I, in a way, had this conflict inside of me because for a long time, I have this, I have a successful business. I have a great work ethic, but some of that was rooted in that of, in almost a desire, almost like a not feeling worthy. So it's like if I can get all these subscribers, if I can become very successful, I'll prove people wrong that didn't believe in me, and then I'll have made it. But now I realize that I'm worthy just for being me. Not only that, I've become very aware of this nice guy shadow. I've actually had to develop compassion for the prior version of me, which was more nice, because I was being very judgmental towards myself and even towards other nice guys for a while. There's like different stages you may move through when you're going through some type of transformation or just something in general. And the first part of it was like I became angry at my past self. Like, look how long you were acting like that. And it was an act. It wasn't authentic. In relationships, I would be willing to give as much as I possibly could to keep the person around. And I found that was not authentic. It was something I was doing in exchange for validation and something I was doing in exchange for some type of approval. So even in my own life, there's certain people in my life that I would find myself in other people's frame who had strong frames because maybe that felt similar to my childhood with my ex-stepmom. She had a very strong frame. So what I would then do is, it's funny, I was talking to this guy the other day that works on my house. He's awesome. He does very good work. And he does, he's been doing stuff in my house for a while, but he is a traditional nice guy, very similar to my dad's energy. And I had an hour-long talk with him the other day in my garage. He was hanging up some mirrors, and I was telling him about, he's interested in the stuff I talk about, and he was telling me about he's inspired because he noticed how much my energy had changed from back in 4 months ago when he was working on the house that I was at. I was living in a different house with some friends, and then I bought my own house. Now, before that, he said it was very interesting because I would talk to him. I had a very individualistic type nature. I was very much centered in my own frame. But then when I would get around other friends, I would turn into a yes man, and I would completely in a way give away my power. And he said it was very interesting for him to see that. He'd always kind of wonder, why is he acting this way around me, very strong, and then when he's around these other friends, he starts turning into this yes man, nice guy, people pleaser. And what he said is he's inspired because now he's seen me go through that transformation in only the last 4 or 5 months, and he knows now it's possible for him. This is a clip from the Daily Vortex podcast where I post 2 times a week, and we go really deep on understanding consciousness, understanding how to raise our vibration, how to bring these spiritual concepts down to earth in a relatable and practical way. For the whole entire episode, you can click the link below, but also subscribe to that of the Daily Vortex podcast on either iTunes or Spotify. That's where there are a backlog of over 100 episodes, plus the whole entire episode length is there. On this channel, you will only be seeing clips moving forward. So if you want the whole episodes, you can click the link below. You can subscribe. They're also very easy to listen to. They're automatically downloaded once you subscribe, plus you'll never miss an episode. So this is where most of my intention is and my energy is going these days, and I look forward to bringing you many more amazing episodes. But for the rest of this episode, you can click below and you can subscribe to the Daily Daily Vortex podcast, and I look forward to helping you expand your consciousness in a very practical and relatable way. So I'll see you on the next episode, and as always, peace, much love, and namaste.